I take the digital balance. I think the connection is... Yes, we are connected. Start the broadcast now.
In this weird story, we follow a single piece of ground. Cursed before anyone ever walked it, filled with giants, and finally taken in blood. We take no side in it. We only follow it. And it begins the way the strangest stories always begin. Something comes down out of the sky. The book wastes no time getting strange. Before the first city, before the first king, in the 6th chapter, the sky comes down. The sons of God, whoever they were, look at the daughters of men and decide they want them. Whoever they were. Angels, some say. A fallen order of them, say the books that didn't make the final cut. Others insist it only means powerful men, kings who thought they were gods. The text does not settle it. It states it flat and moves on, which is its own kind of answer. What the union produces has a name, the Nephilim. The book calls them the mighty men of old, the men of renown. Later readers translate the name itself as the fallen ones, or the ones who make others fall. And the world they build is not a paradise. The book's verdict is 4 words long, the earth filled with violence. So a clock starts. The maker looks at what's happened and sets a limit, 120 years, and then does the thing that should be unthinkable. He decides to erase it, all of it. The flood, not a storm, an undoing. Everything that walked or crawled or schemed, wiped from the board, except one family, sealed in a wooden box, riding the top of a drowned world. And here is where the first curse falls, not in a battle, not on a field, in a tent. The water goes down. The survivor plants a vineyard. The first thing he does with a clean world is make wine. And he drinks it. And he ends up naked and senseless in his tent. His son Ham comes in, sees him, and goes and tells his brothers. What happens next is the part the book refuses to say out loud. He saw his father's nakedness. In the rest of the law, that exact phrase is never about eyes. It is the language used for a sexual act. So for 3,000 years, readers have split. Maybe Ham only mocked him and gossiped. Maybe it was something done to him in that tent. The oldest commentators argued over castration, over incest, over a son who took something from his father that could never be given back. The book leaves the blank and then does something stranger than the blank. The old man wakes. He knows what was done. And he curses, not the son who did it, the grandson, a boy named Canaan, who may not have been in the tent at all, a servant of servants, the lowest of the low. Nobody can fully explain the swerve. Why skip the guilty man and damn the child? Some say the boy shared the act. Some say a father's worst wound is dealt through his son. The text just names the target and moves on. And the target is not only a person, it is a place, a people, a land. The curse, spoken into a tent on a drowned hillside, lands on a stretch of ground that does not exist yet, and waits there for it. And then the detail that should not be possible. Generations later, scouts climb into that exact land to look at it, and the giants are there again. The book says it without flinching. The giant clans of Canaan came down from the Nephilim. The Nephilim drowned in the flood, and the Nephilim's children are standing in Canaan. The text does not explain the contradiction. Later writings tried. They said the drowned giants left behind spirits, and the spirits became something worse. The book itself just sets them down in the cursed land and lets them stand there, waiting. The scouts come back carrying proof of how rich the land is. A single cluster of grapes so heavy it takes 2 men and a pole to carry it. And proof of how it will cost them everything. Their report is the strangest intelligence ever filed. The land, they say, devours its own inhabitants. It eats the people who live in it. And it is full of giants, the Anakim, the sons of Enoch. The scouts have a phrase for how it felt to stand near them. We were grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in theirs. The giants have names: Ahiman, Sheshai, Talmai. They hold a city in the hills, Hebron, whose older name simply meant the city of the greatest of the giants. And one of them the book measures for you, like it's reading a museum placard. Og, king of Bashan, the last of an older giant race called the Rephaim. His bed was iron, 9 cubits long, 4 wide, 13 feet of frame. And the text adds, almost as a dare, it's still on display. You can go and see it. Then the word turns the spine. Rephaim. It means the giants. And in other passages, in the Psalms, in the prophets, in Job, the very same word means something else entirely. The dead, the shades, the spirits in the underworld. One word for the giants of Canaan, and for the ghosts beneath it. So the people are told to walk into all of it anyway, and they look at the giants, and they refuse. They say they would rather have stayed slaves. They would rather die in the sand. They get their wish. 40 years in the wilderness, long enough for every adult who saw the giants to die and be buried. A whole nation choosing the slow death of the desert over one war in the cursed land. 40 years pass. The fearful generation is gone, and a new one, born in the desert, raised on the story of the giants, stands at the bank of a flooded river with a new commander named Joshua, looking at the same land. The river stops. The book says the water upstream stands up in a heap, and the whole nation walks across the riverbed on dry stone into the land the last generation was too afraid to enter. And the first thing waiting for them is a city that has already locked itself shut, Jericho, barred from the inside because the people behind the walls have heard exactly what crossed the river. There is no siege, no ladders, no rams. The army marches, once around the city in total silence, and goes home, day after day, 6 days. The men inside watch an army circle them and say nothing, which is somehow worse than any noise. At the front, priests carry trumpets cut from the horns of rams. On the 7th day, they circle 7 times. Then the horns sound, and then the army does the one thing it has not done all week. It shouts, and the wall does not crack. It does not breach. It falls, flat, straight down, all the way around the city. A crossing out of the sky. A bloodline of giants. A curse muttered over a drunk man's grandson. A land that eats its own. A river that stood up to let an army through. And a wall that simply lay down. None of that is the war. That is only the door, opening. The taking starts on the other side of those fallen stones. Next time, look for how this ends, because it ends the way the book warned it would. An order comes down. Leave nothing alive. The sun stops in the middle of the sky to let it finish. The giants are hunted out of the hills, one city at a time. And a curse spoken at the dawn of the world is paid, in full, in blood, down to the very last giant standing.
This has been the Digital Madman. If you enjoyed this, please share it, subscribe, and smash the like button so we can get the algorithm to pick it up. Thank you, and I will speak with you next time.